Hey everyone, this is JesterMan7 bringing you the first of the TCG Bay single player / tutorial walkthroughs. These first couple ones we're going to start with the beginner ones to kind of use them as an entry level tutorial and give some tips to some of the new players out there. So go ahead and get started. Going to be doing them all on Legendary, which at first they will be easy of course with the beginners, but the harder ones will get into more of the detailed single player campaign tips and guides. Intro to introtoFS1 is the first one. You can see I'm using a cost-efficient Forsaken Waste battle group. Throughout these videos we'll be using different battle groups, giving you different tips and highlight different aspects of each one. Try and give an overall kind of well-rounded knowledge of the game. The videos are pretty much inspired by having new people, friends and the like join and being confused by how the game works. And it's frustrating of course when you try and play in ranked and you don't know abilities and how different factions work quite well. So we'll try and highlight these in a couple quick video sessions. In the single player tutorial and different campaigns, there's going to be three basic ways to win. First is of course destroying enemy shrine by lowering all their health. Second will be to destroy all the enemy's champions or destroy a certain champion that will be highlighted, which is kind of come to be known as wanted campaigns through the dailies. You'll know that destroying the shrine is not an option when there is a kind of pink-purple ring highlighting the shrine, because it's immune to physical damage. These campaigns are also somewhat scripted, as that you can see before the game has even really started. They already have one Nora font with a Salaman soldier there. They will be deploying certain runes at certain times, but their movements and such like that are not scripted. Before we get started, I'm going to turn on the grid. It's not quite as pretty to look at, but it kind of helps you out a lot more. And open up the combat log. Since this level is pretty easy, the only thing we have to watch for on the combat log this time is the spell confusion. But for when you go on to play other single player campaigns or ranked play, I definitely always have it open. And sometimes it's hard to follow, I know, but just before you do something you want to make a quick scroll through. I always use Shrine Scry right off the bat. When you're in ranked play, it depends on your strategy, and some people do, some people don't. But when you're playing against the AI like this, always do it. Because if your shrine is really in that much danger of losing its health, then you're probably going to lose anyway to the computer. When you first start off, you want to try and find a cost-efficient champion, and preferably with 7 speed or higher, or some sort of movement ability. I did my creeper because of the creep ability, which expands my font zone as you can see, so next time I deploy I'll save some AP that way. Forgler Swamp is part of the Protectorate side, which means they're basically going to be more ranged, spell-based, instead of basic flat damage and melee attacks like the Wrath ones are. You see we also have 8 AP because of the defending the shrine bonus. Go ahead and throw out another creeper going this way. And once again expand the font zone. The good thing about these walkthroughs, at least, the beginner ones, is that they give you a good way to test out some of your battle groups against that faction, as while this faction isn't very hard to beat because they don't even have any exotics, for example. But what they do have is that they all have kind of the same basic traits that you see in Forgler Swamps and in all the factions. The Salaman soldier can be a little tricky because of his immunity to fire and immunity to disease. So for some Forsaken Waste characters that do disease damage, you'll watch out. And also if you're an Underdepths fire deck, you'll have to watch out. But you'll notice, of course, he has Amphibious and Regeneration and Poison. Which Poison and Amphibious and those type of things are going to pop up a lot in the Forgler Swamps. Forgler Swamps is also known quite a lot for different movement restrictions. They're going to be doing a lot of water-based attacks, and these attacks, what they do is either, as you just saw there, which is why I moved him forward instead of using Hex, as you saw that I lost all of my AP because of the bog trap, which is right here. So that's something you want to look out for. Also, when they do their water terrain spells for area effect, is they're going to slow you down and hurt you while giving their guys a benefit because of the amphibious ability. And some of the merp people and merfolk that you'll see get bonuses as well for that. And you see they use Confuse, which means the next turn we are not going to be using a spell. And one thing you might have noticed so far, and that I like to keep throughout my decks, and something we'll talk about more as we go on as well, is alternative different damage effects. You'll notice right off the bat, despite having 3 basic champions out, I already have 2 different types of attack. Putrid Creeper does an acid attack, which will scour the enemies, as you can see. And my Blinking Creeper is doing psychic damage. This is something you want to keep in mind when building a successful battle group, because if you're doing all fire or all psychic, with the new Forgler Swamps kind of are, anything that you're really focusing on, which while will give you a big bonus, sometimes it can also really hinder you because of the immunities that you're going to see come out. So I always try and have a good, basic, well-rounded battle group with lots of different effects. I believe in this battle group I have 5 different types, which I'll point out as we go along. Swampworm is another champion that you have to watch out for his effects. Once again, because it's just the beginner campaign, he's not really going to destroy a bunch of your guys, but it's the type of abilities and getting yourself used to in the habit of checking your opponent, because he has damage shield physical, so if you attack him with your guys you're going to take damage, but he also has evasive, so if you attack him from range he's going to do less damage. So the damage shield is more important to look out for, because if you have a low health champion, you don't want to send him in, to die when you could be attacking with someone else. You can see Soak the Earth, make against shallow water. So and of course, on this level, the shallow water doesn't really affect us. But one thing you want to look out for, and part of the reason I spread my guys out as for good practice against Forgler Swap, is you don't want them bunched together, because when they do those area of effect water spells, you don't want everyone to be hurt and affected at once, and really incapacitate you for the whole turn. Just go ahead and attacking. As far as a little bit of Forsaken Waste, now that we've covered some of the basics of Forgler Swamp, watching out for Area of Effect, water spells, magic. They don't have too much magic effect, but some of their other guys have some good range, but they aren't really known for it as much as the different water and AP sapping things. But with Forsaken Waste, one of the things I like to run a lot with them is a somewhat Life Siphon deck, and I don't recommend doing a complete Life Siphon deck because it can be countered with anti-healing, which will actually hurt your guy, and most meta and top rank players will carry something, at least one spell or ability to counteract that, because other factions of course have healing as well, and different Nora generation things kind of the same hand in hand. But one thing is that Blood Fiend is blood fueled, so he has to lose HP to move and attack. But with his Life Siphon, and we have Elder Bloodbinder who has greater vampirism, which doubles the Life Siphon effect. And that also, of course, helps my Putrid Creepers, who I'm using as tanks. You can see how big the deployment zone is now. Go ahead and put Surkon up because he is basically one of the few autos for Forsaken Waste. And he has Defensive Strike, which I activated right away, which means when someone comes into range, he's going to make a free attack on them, which is always nice. You notice I'm also, while I do have creepers, I'm not playing all creeper deck and trying to do the whole get your zone as big as possible to attack the shrine. Basically with this deck, if I have the creepers at the beginning, I'll use them like I did just to get that little boost, but it's not a primary focus. The Putrid Creepers are a great tank on their own anyway, and because you can see they have defense and the Life Siphon ability and evasive. And go ahead and engage with him anyway. They have the poison trap, which point out going this way. Shouldn't affect you too much. Once you get closer to this font zone as I am right now, it's when they'll start really attacking, but you don't have to worry about them too much. You can see they use Bog Trap again, which means basically as soon as my guys move, they're going to lose all their AP. As you can see there. I'm going to equip Vendetta onto Surkon, which is kind of another auto. Not everyone uses it, but a lot of people do because it gives him essence capture, so when he attacks he gets Nora, and he also kind of creates like a chain attack on people. So my Blood Fiend was all the way down to 2 HP, now he's all the way up to 28, so. And go ahead and attack the